downtown Oklahoma City that morning that was smiling, except for this individual.
Representative Key, you're a 5-term state representative. You won your last election with 73% of the vote. Why jeopardize your political career?
Well, Chuck, when I took a look at this and saw what I believe were serious inconsistencies, I couldn't look the other way. I felt like I had to take some kind of action. And being elected to the Oklahoma legislature has been one of the greatest honors and experiences of my life. But I felt like I had an obligation to those people that elected me and to the American people. And when I look at what so many other people have done for this country, made sacrifices, I believe the risk was worth it and had to be taken.
As you know, the government has a few experts of their own. And some of these experts say that an ammonium nitrate truck bomb could do the type of damage that it did to the Murrah building. As a matter of fact, they use the Lebanon truck bombing incident as an example.
Well, there's many experts that say that that's just not possible, that an ammonium nitrate diesel fuel bomb placed where it was could have done that much damage. And the real point about the Lebanon truck bomb and other examples like that is simply that that Lebanon truck bomb was driven into that building underneath it. And it's important to note also that that building was about half the size of the Murrah Federal building. And the columns, for example, were much smaller. So they had the advantage of the truck going up underneath inside the building, which wasn't the case here in Oklahoma City. And they had a structure that was much more vulnerable to being destroyed by an impact like a bomb like that.
We, the citizens, pay the federal agencies to investigate matters such as this. Why not allow them to do their job?
Well, we should allow them to do their job, and we're doing that. And what we've asked for is not an investigation or a committee that will impede or interfere with their own investigation. What we've asked for is an oversight committee which will deal with the issues that they've already made public as far as their official explanation that are in question.
We were setting up a triage unit a couple of blocks from the Murrah building, and it wasn't until later that we had, they had asked if there was anybody that wanted to bag the bodies. And there was myself, a student nurse, and I now know there was a physician that agreed to do it. There's 3 of us that agreed to do it. And we had gone around and started looking for bodies. The first body that we came on was a young female that had been found in front of the World Resources building. And she had been blown to pieces. Her body was charred. And she was pregnant.
You're saying part of her head was missing or something?
Her head was gone. The only thing that was left of her head was her chin. Her arms were missing. Her right leg was missing, and the flesh from her left leg was partially missing. And the only place we were able to tag her was the bone to her left leg, lower portion. When we went over to the south part of the building, I had noticed several citizens, police officers, and firemen that were trying to dig at the rubble, trying to get people out. And on the upper floors, there was people that were sitting at their desks that when you first looked at them, you really didn't know that they were dead. But when you got a closer look, you saw that there was no way they can be sitting there alive with metal fragments through their bodies. There were just people sitting at their desks just waiting for somebody to come and get them, it's what it seemed like. But there was people that were blown out of the windows.
Oklahoma State Representative Charles Key held a press conference at the Oklahoma Capitol. Several witnesses and experts were available for questions. Key expert at the conference was recently retired Brigadier General Benton Parton. General Parton was one of the top ballistics experts in the United States Air Force. He retired from the Air Force with 31 years of service.
And I spent 31 years in the Air Force. 25 years of that was in research and development in weapons. I went through extensive training, technical training, in the weapons area and all the associated technologies. I started off working in the ballistic research laboratories, building warheads, testing them against all kinds of targets. And I served in the Air Force Systems Command level twice, Air Staff level twice, and in the Office of the Secretary of Defense in this particular area. And I was the first chairman of the Air Munitions Requirements and Development Committee, which harmonized the requirements for the Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marine Corps. It was a purpose of the job that I had a 06 level from each of the services, and we were under all of the air weapons that all four services used. When I saw the damage to the building, and with my knowledge of explosives, demolitions, and what you can do and what you can't do with explosives, I had a problem, a big problem, very quickly. You can't destroy hard targets with blast. It just doesn't work. And reinforced columns in a building are hard targets. And I spent much of my career working on precision-guided weapons because I knew what you could do and what you can't do with explosives against hard targets. A 24-inch reinforced concrete column is a hard target. It's a very hard target. Now I got all the information I could about the structure of the building, the columns, the layout, and the supposed position of the truck bomb. And I made a layout, and I did some analysis to determine how realistic it was to have brought down the columns and the pattern it was brought down.
We were setting up a triage unit a couple of blocks from the Murrah building, and it wasn't until later that they had asked if there was anybody that wanted to bag the bodies. And there was myself, a student nurse, and I now know there was a physician that agreed to do it. There's three of us that agreed to do it. And we had gone around and started looking for bodies. The first body that we came on was a young female that had been found in front of the World Resources building. And she had been blown to pieces. Her body was charred. And she was pregnant.
You're saying part of her head was missing or something?
Her head was gone. The only thing that was left of her head was her chin. Her arms were missing. Her right leg was missing, and the flesh from her left leg was partially missing. And the only place we were able to tag her was the bone to her left leg, lower portion. When we went over to the south part of the building,